Blood pooled around Daniel's boots as he pressed gauze against the gaping wound. In the alien's chest, the refugees' 3 hearts were failing one by one, and there was nothing more he could do. Frontier Station Sigma-7 had turned into a disaster zone 6 hours ago when the cargo hauler exploded during docking. Now the medical bay looked like a war zone. "Please," the dying Dracari woman gasped, her clawed hand gripping Daniel's wrist with surprising strength. Her obsidian scales were cracked and bleeding, golden eyes dimming. "My child, hidden cargo bay 7, please." Daniel leaned closer. "Ma'am, you need to stay calm. Let me help you." "No time," she coughed, black blood staining her fangs. "They will not let you touch him against their laws, but he will die alone in the dark. Please, I beg you." Her grip loosened, the monitors flatlined. Daniel closed her eyes gently, his hands shaking. Around him, other medics rushed between patients, voices shouting orders, the smell of burnt metal and flesh mixing in the recycled air. He'd been working for 18 hours straight, but exhaustion vanished the moment he heard those words. "Child hidden alone." Commander Harris found him 2 hours later, sitting in the break room with a cold cup of coffee he hadn't touched. "Reed, you did good work today. Saved 11 lives. Lost 14, Daniel replied quietly. Harris sat down across from him, his weathered face grim. "Listen, I know you talked to the Dracari mother before she died. Whatever she said, forget it. The wreckage is sealed, radiation hazard. Nobody goes near it." Daniel looked up. "There might be survivors. Our scanners would have picked them up. Besides, the Dracari Elder Council sent a message. Their young are sacred. No outsider touches them. It's their highest law. You violate that, you start an interstellar incident. Even if a child is dying." Harris stood, placing a hand on Daniel's shoulder. "Especially then, in their culture, it's better for the young to die pure than be tainted by alien contact. I don't agree with it, but we have to respect it. Get some sleep, Reed. That's an order." Daniel nodded, but sleep never came. He lay in his quarters staring at the ceiling, thinking about his grandmother's ranch back on Earth. She used to rescue injured animals that others said weren't worth saving. A coyote with a broken leg, a hawk with a damaged wing. She'd look at Daniel with those kind eyes and say, "When something's hurting and you can help, you help. Everything else is just noise." At 300 hours, Daniel pulled on his jacket and grabbed his medical kit. The station was quiet during night cycle, most crew asleep. He knew the security patterns, knew which corridors had camera blind spots. Working as a medic gave him access to areas others couldn't reach. The wreckage of Cargo Bay 7 was worse than he'd imagined. Twisted metal jut from the walls like broken teeth. Emergency lights flickered, casting shadows that seemed to move. Daniel activated his medical scanner, adjusting it to pick up biofrequencies. Nothing. He pushed deeper into the debris. Then he heard it, a soft whimpering sound barely audible over the creaking metal. Daniel climbed over a collapsed support beam, squeezed through a gap in the hull, and found himself in a small pocket of space that had somehow survived intact. The dragon baby lay curled in the corner, surrounded by 3 adult Dracari bodies that had shielded it with their own. It was tiny, about the size of a large cat, with obsidian scales that seemed to absorb the light. Golden eyes, far too intelligent for something so young, stared at him with fear and pain. "Hey there, little one," Daniel whispered, setting down his kit. "I'm not going to hurt you." The baby tried to crawl away, but collapsed. Daniel saw the injuries: broken wing, burns along the back, malnutrition. This creature had been dying slowly for hours while everyone followed protocols and laws. He reached out carefully. The baby hissed a pathetic sound that broke his heart. Daniel thought about walking away, thought about his career, the regulations, the consequences. Then he thought about his grandmother and stopped thinking altogether. His hand touched warm scales. The moment skin met scale, golden light exploded between them. Daniel gasped as warmth flooded up his arm, spreading through his chest, wrapping around his heart. The baby's eyes widened, the fear vanishing, replaced by something else: recognition, connection, home. The light faded, leaving a glowing mark on Daniel's palm, a symbol he'd never seen before, pulsing with soft golden luminescence. The baby chirped, crawling into his arms, curling against his chest. Daniel felt its pain like his own, felt its fear dissolve into tentative hope. Alarm shrieked through the station. Red emergency lights activated. Heavy boots thundered through the corridors toward his location. Daniel wrapped the baby in his jacket, cradling it gently as security burst through the wreckage, weapons drawn. Commander Harris arrived moments later, his face pale with fury and fear. Behind him came a figure Daniel had never seen before, a Dracari elder, tall and ancient, scales like polished midnight, eyes that had witnessed centuries. She looked at Daniel, at the baby in his arms, at the glowing mark on his palm. Her voice was soft as falling ash and hard as stone. "You have doomed yourself, human. The child has chosen you. Now you both belong to neither world." Daniel looked down at the baby, feeling its tiny heartbeat against his chest, feeling the bond humming between them like a living thing. He met the elder's gaze without flinching. "I'm a medic," he said simply. "I don't abandon patients." The detention room smelled like disinfectant and recycled air. Daniel sat on the medical cot, his hands still glowing with that strange golden mark, watching through the transparent barrier as the dragon baby paced in the containment field 3 m away. Ash, he named him Ash in his head. During the long hours of interrogation, the baby kept looking at him, making soft distress sound that Daniel felt in his bones. "He won't eat," the station doctor said, checking monitors. "Won't let anyone near him. His vitals are dropping." Daniel pressed his palm against the barrier. Ash rushed to the other side, pressing his small face against the energy field, chirping desperately. The ache in Daniel's chest intensified. He knew somehow that the baby was fading without him. The door opened. Commander Harris entered with the Dracari elder and a woman Daniel recognized as Captain Rodriguez from the Horizon Dawn, the medical frigate he'd been assigned to before this disaster. The elder moved close to the barrier, studying Ash with unreadable eyes. "I am Grandmother Sierra. I speak for what remains of the Dracari people. Explain to me, young human, why you violated our most sacred law." Daniel stood, meeting her gaze. "I heard a dying mother beg me to save her child. I'm a medic. What else could I do?" "Follow orders," Harris snapped. "Follow Regulations, not destroy your career and create an interstellar incident. Sierra raised one clawed hand for silence. The bond is permanent, Commander. This human is now the child's guardian until maturity, approximately 25 to 30 of your years, or until one of them dies. Unacceptable, Harris said. We'll find a way to break it. There is no way, Sierra replied coldly. It is genetic, written into our very cells, a survival mechanism from when my species numbered in the billions instead of dozens. Captain Rodriguez stepped forward, her dark eyes assessing Daniel carefully. What do you want to do, Reed? I want to keep him safe. You understand what you're agreeing to. This isn't a pet. This is a lifelong commitment to an alien child you know nothing about. Daniel looked at Ash, who had stopped pacing and was staring at him with those impossibly intelligent golden eyes. The bond hummed between them, and he felt the baby's fear, its confusion, its desperate need. It reminded him of every injured animal his grandmother had brought home, every creature others had called hopeless. I understand. Harris slammed his hand on the table. This is insane. Reed, you're 24 years old. You're throwing away your future for a creature that will make you an outcast. He has a name, Daniel said quietly. I called him Ash. Sierra's scaled face showed the first hint of expression, surprise perhaps, or respect. You named him already. Interesting. Tell me, Daniel Reed, what would you do if the child attacked another crew member, if his instincts turned violent? Train him, teach him control. What if he rejected your teaching? What if he chose to leave you? Then I'd let him go. Love isn't chains. What if keeping him put your ship in danger? Would you sacrifice him for the greater good? Daniel's jaw tightened. I'd find another way. There's always another way. Sierra studied him for a long moment. Around them, the medical bay continued its rhythm. Through the viewport, the damaged cargo hauler was being dismantled by repair crews. Finally, the elder spoke. Most humans would have given me the answers they thought I wanted to hear. You gave me truth, foolish truth, but truth nonetheless. She turned to Harris. I will support the humans' claim to guardianship, but understand, Commander, what he has bonded with. That child is not just any Dracari. He is the last of the royal bloodline. His mother was a princess. His father died defending her during the attack. The room fell silent. Harris looked like he'd been struck. Rodriguez's eyes widened. Daniel just felt confused. What does that mean? He asked. It means, Sierra said, that you have become guardian to the future of our species. It means every Dracari in the galaxy will be watching you. It means the Galactic Council will want to study you both. It means you have made yourself a target for those who hate what you represent. She paused. It also means you have 6 months to prove a human can raise a Dracari properly, or the child will be taken to a preservation facility where he will be raised by machines and protocols. Daniel's hand touched the barrier again. Ash pressed against it from the other side. Through the bond, Daniel felt a surge of trust, of hope, of something that felt startlingly like love. 6 months, he said. I can do that. Rodriguez stepped closer to Harris. Sir, I formally request Reed's transfer to the Horizon Dawn. We have the facilities to accommodate both him and the child. My crew has been watching Reed for 8 months. He's one of the best field medics we've got, if anyone can make this work, it's him. Harris rubbed his face tiredly. Fine. But this is on your head, Captain. When the council comes down on us, I'm sending them your way. Understood, Rodriguez looked at Daniel. Welcome to the Horizon Dawn. Reed, you and your son. The containment field dropped. Ash rushed to Daniel, climbing up his body and wrapping around his shoulders, making happy chirping sounds. The ache in Daniel's chest vanished, replaced by warmth and rightness. He scratched gently under the baby's chin, feeling tiny vibrations like a purr. Grandmother Sierra watched them, her ancient eyes unreadable. You will fail. Young human, you will break under the weight of what you have chosen, but I hope for both your sakes that I am wronged. Daniel held Ash closer, feeling the double heartbeat through the bond, his own and the dragon's together. So do I, he whispered. 3 months on the Horizon Dawn changed everything. Daniel barely recognized his life anymore. His quarters had been modified to accommodate a rapidly growing dragon who now measured the size of a medium dog and ate more than Daniel. Wade. Sleep came in broken fragments between medical shifts and researching Drakari biology in the ship's database. Every spare moment went to Ash, who followed him everywhere with devoted attention. Right now, that devotion was causing problems. Daniel, the dragon said carefully, pronouncing each syllable with concentration. His voice was rough like gravel tumbling in water, but unmistakably speech. Daniel heard. I'm fine, buddy. Just tired. Daniel rubbed his burning eyes, staring at the medical reports that needed finishing before his shift started in 4 hours. The observation deck was empty at this hour. Just him and Ash and the endless stars beyond the viewport. Ash crawled into his lap, far too big for it now, but trying anyway. His obsidian scales caught the starlight, reflecting it in patterns that shifted. When he breathed, Daniel said, I feel it. That was the problem with the empathic bond. Daniel couldn't hide anything from Ash, and lately there was too much to hide. The pressure of proving himself to the Galactic Council, the constant reports he had to file, the crew members who still whispered when he passed. Some called Ash a miracle, others called him a liability. Go to sleep, Ash, please. The dragon made a distressed sound and curled tighter against him. Within minutes, Daniel felt heat building against his chest, not painful but concerning. He checked Ash's temperature with his scanner, elevated, rising. Ash, wake up. The dragon's eyes snapped open, glowing golden in the dark. Smoke curled from his nostrils. Daniel recognized the nightmare signs, tried to calm him through the bond, but Ash jerked away. Panicking, fire burst from his mouth, a wild, uncontrolled gout of flame that scorched the deck plating and caught the observation couch burning. Ash yelped in pain, pawing at his own mouth where the fire had burned delicate tissue. Daniel grabbed the emergency extinguisher, killed the flames, then pulled Ash close despite the heat radiating from his scales. It's okay, you're okay. Breathe with me. They sat there breathing together until Ash's temperature dropped and the glow faded from his eyes. Burns marked the inside of his mouth. Daniel grabbed his medical kit, but his hands were shaking too hard. The exhaustion, the stress, everything was catching up. Let me help. Daniel looked up to find Dr. Pauline right standing in the doorway, her gray Hair pulled back, medical bag in hand. She'd been chief medical officer for 20 years and had seen everything. She knelt beside them without hesitation. Hold him steady, this will sting. Together they treated Ash's burns. The dragon whimpered but stayed still, trusting them. When they finished, Dr. Wright sat back and fixed Daniel with a look that made him feel like a med student again. When did you last sleep a full 8 hours? I don't remember. When did you last eat a real meal? Yesterday, I think. You're killing yourself, Reed, and it's affecting him. She gestured at Ash. He feels your stress, your exhaustion, your fear. It's destabilizing him. You understand what I'm saying? Daniel stared at his hands, at the golden mark that never faded. I can't fail him. If I mess this up, they take him away. If you collapse from exhaustion, they take him away anyway. You need to understand something about being a parent. It's not about being perfect. It's about being steady, present. You can't pour from an empty cup. Footsteps echoed in the corridor. Leo Bright appeared, the ship's engineer, carrying a food tray and looking sheepish. He was younger than Daniel, barely 22, with mechanical grease permanently staining his hands. Heard the commotion, brought food and I made something. He held up a small device. Emergency beacon, links to your vitals. If you're in trouble, it alerts me and Dr. Wright. Ash too, once I calibrate it to his biosignature. Daniel felt something crack in his chest. These people were helping him, not because they had to, but because they chose to, like he'd chosen Ash. Thank you, he managed. They sat together on the deck, eating cold sandwiches and watching Ash explore the observation deck. His confidence returning now that Daniel's stress had lessened. The dragon pressed his nose against the viewport, wings spreading slightly as he studied the stars. I used to dream about seeing space when I was a kid, Daniel said quietly. Growing up on that ranch in Montana, staring at the sky, imagining all the worlds out there. Why did you become a medic? Leo asked. My grandmother, she taught me that helping others was the only thing that really mattered. When she died, I joined the medical corps, thought I could honor her by doing what she did, saving things others gave up on. Dr. Wright smiled. She'd be proud of you. Ash returned to them, climbing carefully into Daniel's lap again. This time he settled gently, having learned control. The dragon projected an image through their bond, something he'd never done before, a memory, his mother's face, her final thoughts, not of fear or pain, but of love, hope, a prayer that someone kind would find her child. Daniel understood then. Ash hadn't chosen him randomly. The bond recognized something, some quality that matched what the baby needed and what Daniel needed too. Purpose, family, a reason to be more than he'd been. I won't let you down, Daniel whispered, scratching under Ash's chin. The dragon purred, spreading one wing over Daniel like a blanket. We'll figure this out together. Outside the viewport, stars wheeled in their ancient dance. Inside, a young man and a dragon baby learned what it meant to be family, one imperfect moment at a time. The distress signal came during dinner shift. Daniel was teaching Ash to eat properly instead of just inhaling his food. When the ship's alarms triggered, Captain Rodriguez's voice cut through the noise, calm but urgent. All hands, battle stations, raiders inbound, ETA 12 minutes. The mess hall erupted into controlled chaos. Crew members rushed to their posts. Daniel grabbed Ash, who was now the size of a large dog with a wingspan, approaching 6 feet, and headed for medical bay. His stomach twisted with dread. "Daniel scared," Ash said, trotting beside him. "I feel it." "Yeah, buddy, I'm scared." The dragon's scales rippled, colors shifting darker. His eyes glowed brighter. "I protect you." "No, you stay in medical bay where it's safe." Medical bay was already filling with crew preparing for casualties. Dr. Wright met Daniel at the door, her face grim. She handed him a trauma kit and body armor. "We intercepted Raider communications. They're not here for cargo, they're here for him." She nodded at Ash. "Royal Dracarys fetch bounties that could buy entire fleets on the black market." Daniel's blood ran cold. "They can't have him." "Reed, take Ash to the secure hold. Harris will meet you there with security. The wounded will need me here." "The wounded need you alive. Go." But Ash had other ideas. The dragon's head snapped up, scales bristling. A low growl rumbled from his chest. "Danger coming soon, I smell it." Daniel checked his scanner. "Nothing on sensors yet." "Ash, what do you mean?" "Bad people coming fast. 3 minutes." Dr. Wright's eyes widened. She hit her communicator. "Captain, the dragon says 3 minutes, not 12. Rodriguez's response was immediate. "All hands revised ETA. Prepare for immediate contact." Seconds later, the ship rocked as weapons fire struck the hull. The Raiders had been closer than sensors indicated. Using stealth technology, red emergency lights activated. Ash spread his wings, positioning himself between Daniel and the door. The battle happened fast. Raiders breached through the cargo bay, cutting through security with military precision. Daniel heard weapons fire, screams, explosions. Medical bay doors locked automatically, but everyone knew locks wouldn't hold long. 4 wounded crew members arrived, carried by others bleeding and desperate. Daniel and Dr. Wright worked frantically, stabilizing injuries, administering emergency aid. Ash stayed close, his presence somehow calming the wounded, his body heat wrapped around them like a blanket. Then the medical bay doors exploded inward. 3 Raiders in combat armor stormed through, weapons raised. The lead one's helmet display locked onto Ash. "There's our prize, stun it and bag it." Daniel stepped in front of the dragon. "Over my dead body." "That can be arranged." The Raider raised his weapon. Time slowed. Daniel saw the plasma bolt building, knew he couldn't dodge, knew this was how it ended. Then Ash roared. It wasn't the roar of a baby anymore. It was thunder and fury, an ancient power condensed into sound. The dragon launched himself at the Raiders with speed that shouldn't have been possible. Fire erupted from his mouth in controlled bursts, melting weapons, driving the attackers back. But these were professionals. They adapted, spread out, tried to flank. One fired a net designed to capture large creatures. Ash dodged, but it tangled around Daniel instead, electrical current stunning him to the ground. Through the bond, Daniel felt Ash's terror transform into rage. The dragon's eyes blazed like stars. Something awakened in him, genetic memory rising from depths Daniel didn't understand. Ash moved like he'd been born fighting, coordinating attacks with tactical intelligence that terrified even Daniel. The raiders retreated under the assault. But one got a lucky shot. Plasma struck Ash's wing, burning through delicate membrane. The dragon shrieked in pain. Daniel, still tangled in the net, watched helplessly as the injured raider aimed for another shot at Ash's head. Leo Bright appeared from nowhere. Tackling the raider, they struggled. The weapon discharged wild, hitting the medical bay wall. Leo grabbed a surgical laser, used it to cut Daniel free. "Get him out of here," Leo gasped, holding off the raider. Daniel stumbled to Ash, who was trying to fly on a damaged wing. Blood dripped from burns, but his eyes were still blazing, still ready to fight. "Daniel hurt." "I'm fine, we need to go." Security arrived, driving the remaining raiders back, but the attack wasn't over. More breach pods attached to the hull. This wasn't a raid, it was an invasion. Captain Rodriguez's voice echoed through the ship. "All personnel fall back to secure sections. Prepare to abandon ship." Daniel refused to move. Wounded crew members filled the medical bay, people who would die if left behind. Dr. Wright was working on a critical patient, hands bloody, face determined. "I'm not leaving them," Daniel said. Ash limped to his side, favoring the injured wing. "We protect family." Something in those words steadied Daniel. He grabbed supplies, organized the remaining crew into triage teams. Ash, despite his pain, used his fire breath to seal damaged bulkheads, buying them time. The dragon worked alongside humans as if he'd always been part of the crew, his intelligence and courage inspiring everyone. The battle lasted 43 minutes. Horizon Dawn security, reinforced by a surprise arrival of the Drackery patrol ship that Grandmother Sira had sent, finally drove the raiders to retreat, but the cost was high. 12 wounded, 3 dead, and extensive damage to the ship. Daniel sat in the ruined medical bay, holding Ash while Dr. Wright treated the dragon's burns. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. Ash had been magnificent and terrifying. Watching him fight had shown Daniel the truth he'd been avoiding. This baby was growing into something powerful, something dangerous, something that could hurt people if Daniel failed to teach him control. "I'm afraid," Daniel whispered into Ash's scales. "Not of you for you. What if I can't give you what you need?" Ash pressed his head against Daniel's chest. "You already did. You gave me love, everything else we learn together." Through the bond, Daniel felt the dragon's absolute trust, and somehow that was more terrifying than any raider. Sanctuary Station floated in neutral space like a monument to dying dreams. Daniel pressed his face against the transport shuttle viewport, watching the massive structure grow larger beside him. Ash shifted nervously. The dragon was adolescent now, the size of a small horse with wings that could span 20 ft. When fully extended, his scales had deepened a polished obsidian shot through with veins of gold. "Too many Drackery," Ash said quietly, his improved speech still carrying that gravelly edge. "I can feel them, they're all sad." Daniel squeezed the dragon's front leg gently. "We don't have to do this." "Yes, we do. I need to know where I come from, who I am." Grandmother Sira met them at the docking bay. She looked older than Daniel remembered, her scales dulled with age. Behind her stood 11 other Drackery, all elders, all watching Ash with expressions Daniel couldn't read: hope, desperation, fear. The shuttle doors opened. Ash hesitated. Through their bond, Daniel felt the Dragon's terror mixing with curiosity. He stepped forward first, and Ash followed, staying close to his side. "Welcome, child of the royal line," Sierra said formally. "Welcome home." "This isn't his home," Daniel said, before he could stop himself. "Horizon Dawn is his home." One of the elders hissed, scales bristling. "You overstep, human. The child belongs with his people." "I belong with Daniel," Ash said firmly. Surprising everyone, his voice carried authority that hadn't been there before. "He is my family." The tension crackled. Sierra raised one clawed hand for peace. "Come, there is much to discuss, much you both must learn." The next 3 days were a storm of information, tradition, and impossible expectations. Daniel learned the truth about ancient human Dracarys partnerships, saw historical records of the alliance that had been lost to time. Humans had been explorers and healers. Dracary had been protectors and builders. Together they'd explored galaxies, created wonders until war destroyed everything. "Your DNA carries markers of our genetic manipulation," Sierra explained, showing him scan results. "Humanity was designed to be compatible with us, companions, partners. Ash didn't choose you randomly. He recognized what you were meant to be." Daniel felt sick. "You're saying humans were created as servants, as equals, as family?" The manipulation was invitation, not slavery. Those who wished could bond, those who didn't remained free. But after the wars, the knowledge was lost. Now only traces remain in rare individuals. She showed him 3 other humans on the station, all carrying similar genetic markers. Daniel met them. 2 were scientists studying Dracary culture. 1 was a security officer. All had refused bonding opportunities with young Dracary, calling it unnatural, dangerous, an invasion of autonomy. "The bond steals your freedom," one scientist said harshly. "You become their servant." Daniel thought about the bond he shared with Ash, the way it let them understand each other, support each other. It had never felt like slavery. It felt like belonging. Meanwhile, Ash struggled under different pressures. The Dracary Council wanted him to perform in a coming-of-age ceremony, demonstrating royal powers he'd never been trained to use. They expected dominance displays, shows of strength, the ability to command lesser beings through force of will. Daniel found Ash alone in the observation chamber the night before the ceremony, wings wrapped tight around himself. "I'm going to fail," the dragon whispered. "I don't know how to do what they want. I don't feel like a king. I just feel like me." "Then be you. That's all you need to be." "What if that's not enough?" Daniel sat beside him, placing his hand on the dragon's scaled neck. "When we first bonded, everyone said it was wrong, impossible, that we'd fail. But we didn't fail because we tried to be what they wanted. We succeeded because we were ourselves." The ceremony took place in the grand hall with hundreds watching through holographic feeds. Dracary from across the galaxy, human diplomats, Galactic Council observers. The pressure was suffocating. Ash entered the ceremonial circle alone. The elders called for displays of power. Fire, intimidation, dominance. The dragon tried. He breathed fire, but it was controlled, careful, nothing like the wild destruction expected of royalty. He spread his wings, but the gesture looked protective, not threatening. The disappointment was visible. Ash began to panic, his scales shifting. Colors, smoke curling from his nostrils. Daniel felt the dragon's fear through. The bond felt him starting to break. Under impossible expectations. He didn't think, he just moved. Daniel walked into the sacred circle. Breaking every protocol, gasps echoed. Through the hall, he placed his hand on Ash's head, sending calm through there. Bond. You don't have to be what they want. Just be yourself. Ash looked up at him, golden eyes wide. Then the dragon closed his eyes and let his true power manifest. Warmth spread from Ash in waves, not burning but healing. Daniel felt it, washing over him, gentle and profound. Around the hall, people gasped. Warmth touched everyone, easing pain, calming fear, connecting them all in a moment of pure empathy. This was Ash's royal power, not destruction, creation, not dominance. Unity. The bond between him and Daniel had shaped the dragon differently, created something new from something ancient. The elders stood in shocked silence. Grandmother Sierra stepped forward, tears marking her scales. He is evolution. She whispered, the future of what we can become. The moment shattered when explosions rocked the station, security alarms shrieked on the screens, fires bloomed. In the refugee quarter, Daniel's training kicked in. He ran toward the emergency, Ash flying beside him. They found chaos. A bomb had detonated, leaving dozens wounded and dying. Daniel started triage immediately, but there were too many, too much damage. Then Ash moved among the wounded, using his healing warmth, stabilizing patients, before Daniel even reached them. Together, they saved 37 lives that night. The galaxy watched footage of a dragon moving gently from victim to victim, careful and purposeful. Public opinion shifted like a tide. But the bomber left a message scrawled on the wall: no human should bow to alien masters, more attacks coming. Daniel Reed is a traitor. Ash curled around Daniel in the dark. Hours after, both of them exhausted. They hate us. Not everyone. Some people are just afraid of change. Will it ever stop? Daniel wished he had better answers. I don't know, buddy, but we'll face it together. 6 months after the bombing, Daniel stood in the Horizon Dawn's medical bay, watching Ash through the observation window. The dragon was fully adolescent now, massive and magnificent, his wingspan reaching 20 ft when extended. He was helping Dr. Wright organize medical supplies, his intelligence and careful movements making him an asset to the crew. Hard to believe he used to fit in your arms, Leo said, joining Daniel at the window. Hard to believe any of this. Daniel rubbed his face, exhaustion marking every line. The assassination attempt last month had left scars, both visible and not. Ash had shielded him with his own body, taking plasma burns that would have killed Daniel. Dragon had healed, but Daniel still woke from nightmares. The door opened. Captain Rodriguez entered with Grandmother Sierra and 3 Galactic Council representatives. Their expressions were serious. We need to talk, Rodriguez said. They gathered in the conference room. Sierra spoke first. The extremist coalition has planned coordinated attacks on 5 integration sites. They want to destroy everything you and Ash represent. The Galactic Council wants you both hidden in protective custody until the threat passes. Daniel looked at Ash, who had insisted on attending despite the dragon's size. making the conference room crowded. "What do you think, buddy?" "Running doesn't stop hate," Ash said, his voice deeper now but still carrying that rumbling quality. "Someone has to stand and show theirs." "Another way." One council representative shook his head. "Your targets, both of you. Hiding is the logical choice." "Logic isn't always right," Daniel replied. "We've been hiding from this problem for months. Maybe it's time to face it." Dr. Wright leaned forward. "If you're going to make a stand, do it smart. Use what makes you special." Ash's empathic abilities could create an early warning network, link him with other empathic species, coordinate defense. Leo nodded eagerly. "I can build communication relays, make sure every site stays connected. We protect each other." Captain Rodriguez studied them all. "You understand what you're proposing. This isn't just defense, this is making yourselves bait, drawing the attack to us. The Horizon Dawn has the best medical facilities," Daniel said. "The best crew. If we're going to make a stand, make it here, make it count." The attacks came 3 days later, coordinated and vicious. But Ash's network held. The dragon had linked with 4 other empathic species across the integration sites, creating a living web of awareness. When extremists struck at Sanctuary Station, Ash felt it instantly and warned the others. The battle for Horizon Dawn was fierce. Raiders and extremists breached the hall in 3 places. Daniel worked in the medical bay, treating wounded, while Ash coordinated defense through the empathic network. The dragon's presence was everywhere, his consciousness touching hundreds of minds, showing them how to work together. Daniel saw it happen through their bond. Humans fighting alongside Dracari, insected species protecting mammalian ones, crystalline beings sharing sensor data with organic crews, species that had never cooperated before moved as one coordinated unit, guided by Ash's empathic network. The extremists had expected chaos. They found unity. But victory came with a cost. A plasma blast breached the medical bay. Daniel threw himself over a wounded crew member, felt the heat, knew this was the end. Then Ash was there, his massive body covering them both, his healing warmth spreading like a shield. The blast should have killed the dragon. Instead, Ash's power manifested fully. For the first time, the healing energy that had been gentle before became a wave spreading through the ship, stabilizing the wounded, giving strength to the defenders. Daniel felt it flowing through their bond, felt Ash drawing on their connection to amplify his abilities. When the extremists saw footage of the dragon protecting dozens of species without discrimination, saw him healing enemies alongside allies, their support crumbled. The galaxy watched a young dragon refuse to hate those who hated him. It changed everything. The aftermath took weeks to process. Daniel recovered from his injuries while Ash fussed over him constantly. They'd won, but the cost was visible in the memorial services for those who'd fallen. Was it worth it? Daniel asked Ash one night, both of them exhausted in their shared quarters. Every life we saved was worth it. Every person who saw us choose love over hate was worth it. The dragon curled around Daniel like he used to when he was small. We didn't just defend the ship, we showed them what's possible. 5 years later, Daniel stood in front of his grandmother's ranch in Montana, nervous in a way combat had never made him. Ash landed beside him, full-grown now, but still choosing to stay close. The dragon was technically mature, free to leave if he wanted. He never did. The front door opened. Daniel's elderly grandmother stepped out, her face weathered and kind. She'd seen the news, watched the battles, knew what her grandson had become. She walked straight to Ash without hesitation and placed her hand on his scaled face. "You brought home family," she said. "Simply, that's all that matters." Ash spread his wings over the ranch house in a gesture of protection and belonging. Through their bond, Daniel felt the dragon's contentment, his joy, his absolute certainty that this was right. They stayed for 2 weeks. Grandmother taught Ash about earth animals, laughed when the massive dragon helped birth a calf with surprising gentleness. She told Daniel stories about the creatures she'd saved over the years, the ones everyone said weren't worth the effort. "You were always like me," she said one evening, watching Ash play with her dogs, "seeing the value you in things others overlooked. I'm proud of you. I just followed my instincts. The best things in life come from following your heart instead of rules." She squeezed his hand. That dragon chose well. When they left, Daniel looked back at the ranch, at his grandmother waving goodbye. Ash nudged him gently. "You okay?" "Yeah." Daniel placed his hand on the dragon's neck, feeling the bond that had changed his life. "I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." They flew back to the horizon dawn. Together, where 20 new bonded pairs waited for guidance, where Captain Rodriguez had a dozen missions lined up, where Dr. Wright was training the next generation of integration medics. They'd been warned not to touch the dragon baby. Daniel had picked him up and never looked back. And he never would.